Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government assures Nigerians of efforts to end ASUU strike.
Representing Akwa Ibom Northeast.
Senator representing Akwa Ibom Northeast, Obong Basi Albert, defects to YPP. Plus, Ukraine names new acting head of security agency. Details of these stories and more in a moment. In our news tonight, federal government says it is working to end the current strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU and forestall future strikes by the union. The government stated this at the 81st plenary meeting of the Joint Consultative Committee in Education plenary meeting in Yola, Adamawa State. Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Education, Andrew Adejo, who spoke to newsmen on the sides of the meeting, said moves were being perfected to make it unnecessary for ASUU to ever go back on strike in the future. Asked to comment on the College of Education Academic Staff Union, which is also on strike, Adejo said the lecturers were likely to call off the action soon, as issues raised were being addressed and discussions had gone far. Meanwhile, the Association of Nigerian Aviation Professionals and the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers are asking the federal government to urgently put an end to the lingering strike embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities in the nation's interest. A statement signed by the Aviation Association's Deputy General Secretary Umar Ofonime read that the refusal of the federal government to honor the agreement signed with the union since 2009 was destructive for the position of the National Executive Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress to embark on a nationwide protest on July 26 and 27 in solidarity with the trade unions in the Nigeria public universities and others. Still in education, the Nigeria Labour Congress has announced plans to commence a two-day nationwide protest on July 26 in solidarity with striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and other unions in public universities. The Congress made this known in a circular address to the chairpersons and secretaries of its state councils. According to the circular, the protest would be held on July 26 and 27 at all state capitals and the Federal Capital Territory. The Nigeria Police Force has, however, advised those planning the protest to employ the help of the police for provision of optimal security. The Force Public Relations Officer Muyiwa Dejobi stated this in an interview with newsmen while responding to inquiries on whether the police was aware of the planned protest. Away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated the Nigerian Bar Association on the successful conclusion of its elections and rejoiced with Yakubu Maikao, the new leader of the legal body. In a statement by his spokesman Femi Adesina in Abuja, the president congratulated the legal luminary for emerging the 31st president of the association. He noted that the NBA had over the years played a major role in democratic and economic development of the country with advocacy, counseling and partnership with governments. The president saluted the outgoing president of the NBA, Olumide Apata, and all the national leaders who took the association to a higher level, particularly with building new partnerships and integration of technology. In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the just concluded Osun governorship election, Senator Ademola Adeleke, over his victory. In a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, President Buhari observed that The outcome of the election expressed the people's choice of whom they desired for leadership. The president further noted that the successful conduct of the election was a testimonial to the maturity and commitment of all stakeholders. He reassured the nation of an unshaken commitment of his administration towards having credible elections.
Is the term of the law is hereby declared the winner, and he is returned elected.
In the meantime, British High Commissioner in Nigeria has congratulated the people of Osun State for their active, peaceful and democratic participation in Saturday's governorship election. The High Commission observed that the results released by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) were consistent with the results obtained through the civil society-led parallel vote tabulation process. In a press release by the UK High Commission, the country commended INEC, the security agency's civil society partners, led by the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, and all stakeholders for their contribution to the success of the election. Meanwhile, the British government said it was concerned about reports of vote buying in some locations and hoped that persons involved would be held to account by relevant authorities. To the legislature now, where Senate has ordered the arrest of the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Bashe Jamo, for allegedly paying $5 million to a legal firm as professional fee for the recovery of a $9.3 billion loss. The $5 million was paid for the intelligence-based tracking of a global movement of Nigerian hydrocarbon and recovery of loss by the federal government in the sum of $9.3 billion between 2013 and 2014. At a briefing, the Chairman, Senate Committee of Public Accounts, Matthew Urogide, expressed disappointment with the agency over its failure to appear before the panel, leaving no other option than to issue a warrant of arrest and on NIMASA's Director General. The Auditor General's report showed that all efforts by the federal government to get the details of the 9.3 billion naira thorough scrutiny were not granted by NIMASA. So on legislative matters, Oyo State Assembly has approved the nomination of Bayo Lawal as Deputy Governor. The lawmakers gave the approval this afternoon after impeaching Rauf Olaniyan as the state's Deputy Governor over allegations of misconduct. The decision to impeach him was reached after the state lawmakers presented and conceded the recommendation of the 7-man panel set up by the Chief Judge Munta Abimbola to investigate him over allegations of gross misconduct and abuse of office. Away from that, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has kick-started its case of hard drug trafficking charges against the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari before the Federal High Court, Abuja. The agency brought a commander of narcotics attached to its forensic unit, Patricia Falabi, to testify as its first witness. The witness told the court that part of her job specification involved receiving and conducting forensic analysis on drug exhibits. She also told the court that she had on February 7, 2022, received from the forensic liaison officer of the agency, Abubakar Liu, one sealed transparent evidence pack containing 24 dispensing packs each. Falabi said each of the packs contained a white substance measured at 0.5 grams with a request form for analysis. Concerned about the multitude incidents of collapsed buildings in Nigeria, industry professionals have again raised an alarm on influx of substandard materials in the building materials market. They said the menace, if not abated, could worsen cases of structural failures across the country. They explained that substandard steel products were poorly made and the consequences included low durability and hazard for construction sites. Elsewhere, Zamfara state government has suspended the emir of Sabon Benin Yandoto of Safi local government area, Aliyu Garba Marafa, for allegedly turbaning a notorious repentant bandits leader, Adamu Alero, as Sarkin Fulani, leader of Fulani. This was confirmed in a statement by the secretary to the state government, Kabiru Balarabe. According to the statement, the Zamfara state government has distanced itself from the alleged turbaning. To Kano now, where the state government has officially banned the operations of tricycle operators after 10 p.m. According to a statement issued and signed by the State Commissioner for Information, Muhammad Garba, the ban takes effect from Thursday, July 21. Garba noted that the decision was reached at the end of a state security meeting. Back here, the senator representing Akwa Ibom Northeast Obong Basi Albert Akpan and wife have officially defected from the People's Democratic Party (PDP). While receiving his party membership card, Senator Albert, popularly referred to as Oba, promised to build the party to become a force in Akwa Ibom State and assured the people of government's dividend to every ward in the state. Our correspondent has details of this report. Well, still in Akwa Ibom, the government has condemned speculations that boats recently given by the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) through it to victims of flood disaster who are fish farmers were substandard. In an interview with newsmen, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. Ofyong Ofo, said the boats were part of items supplied by NEMA for the 2020 flood disaster and had since been distributed to the affected farmers. Wondering why the people described the boat as unfit, Ofo noted that the state government provided logistics for the lifting of the boats and other components for the farmers. She added that the same size and quality of boats were also supplied by NEMA to other states as part of the intervention without complaints from those states. The Commissioner noted that 200 fish farmers benefited from the donation, adding that NEMA also supplied other components like collapsible ponds, floats, fingerlings and feet to ameliorate the flooding. In another development, as the World Day for International Justice is celebrated around the globe, the people have been advised to pay attention to serious crimes happening around the world and to help stop them. The theme for this year's commemoration is Achieving Social Justice Through Formal Employment and is aimed at bringing justice for the victims of war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide. Speaking with Spectrum Television News on the importance of the day, Principal of State Council, Department of Public Prosecution, Ministry of Justice, Akwa Ibom State, Barrister Ephraim Ison, prevent crime that threatens the peace, security and well-being of the world. He noted that the day served as a reminder to emphasize the significance of the International Criminal Court and the services it performs to ensure victim justice. Back here, individuals have been advised to desist from visiting quacks and traditionalists when experiencing signs of visual impairment. Speaking with Spectrum Television News on symptoms, causes and preventive measures, a practicing optometrist, Dr. Asanganen Ekbo, described visual impairment as partial or complete vision loss due to some pathologies that happen to the eyes. According to him, about 2.2 billion people have a near-distance vision impairment globally, and about 1 billion of the problems could have been prevented as the condition is avoidable, treatable and manageable. He therefore called on the government to urgently address these issues surrounding the plight of healthcare workers in Nigeria to give the country a fighting chance to avoid the impending blindness epidemic. Still to come in the news. Passengers to experience flight delays amid aviation fuel scarcity. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now moving on to Africa, where the first continent-wide gathering on the role of protected areas in ensuring the future of the planet has begun in Rwanda. The International Union for Conservation of Nature's Africa Protected Areas Congress is being held a few months before the COP15 summit in December, when global leaders are aiming to adopt a delayed pact to shield nature from the damage wrought by human activity. On the opening day of the talks in the capital Kigali, the Director General of the Union, Bruno Oberle, said protected areas were critical for the survival of the planet. He added on Twitter that as such areas were managed for the benefit. Elsewhere, a Chinese national extradited from Zambia, Liu Ke, has appeared in court in Malawi today and has been charged with 5 counts of child trafficking. Ke was a Malawian resident when he was exposed by BBC Africa Eye, which reported that he had used local children to film personalized greetings videos, some of which included racist content. The videos could be bought for up to $70 on Chinese social media and internet platforms, but Ke has denied making derogatory videos. Today, the judge denied him bail because of concern for his safety, as well as fear that he was a flight risk. Ke, who had fled to neighboring Zambia last month after the BBC documentary was broadcast, did not have legal representation. Ruling African National Congress Party J.C. Duarte, who died after a long battle with cancer. The 68-year-old Duarte was elected to the leading position in the party in 2012 and had been serving until she went on medical leave in November last year. An official funeral, according to Islamic Rite, was reportedly held for Duarte at the West Park Cemetery in Johannesburg, where she was buried, while an official memorial service will be held later this week. Away from that, the administrator of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, Samantha Power, has promised $1 billion to fight a food crisis aggravated by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Power raised the alarm that the war and climate change were worsening hunger around the world just after a decade of progress had been obliterated by the COVID pandemic. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, she observed that the world was confronting something more devastating, as not only were millions more people facing grave hunger, but many were at risk of starvation. The USAID chief said the situation was especially dire in turbulent Somalia, conflict-hit Ethiopia and Kenya, which is forecast to experience its 5th straight drought later this year. Announcing a visit to the Horn of Africa this weekend, Power said at least 1,103 children, $0.18 billion in USAID would include emergency food, notably sorghum, and a peanut-based supplement for malnourished children, as well as veterinary services for dying livestock. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has appointed an experienced security official and corruption fighter as acting head of the domestic security agency after abruptly sidelining his predecessor. One day after the president suspended childhood friend Ivan Bakanov over what he portrayed as a failure to root out treason in the agency. According to his profile on the service's website, 39-year-old Maliuk had been the first deputy head of the service since March 2020 and headed the main directorate for combating corruption and organized crime of the service's central directorate. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Tayyip Erdogan will discuss the export of Ukrainian grain at their meeting in Tehran tomorrow. A foreign policy advisor to Putin, Yuri Ushakov, told reporters that Russia was ready to continue work on the track. Ushakov's remarks came amid expectations that Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and the United Nations will sign a deal later this week to resume the shipping of grain from Ukraine across the Black Sea. Ukraine's Black Sea ports, the main conduit for its agricultural February. In a related development, a Russian court has fined Alphabet's Google 21.1 billion rubles over what it describes as repeated failures to remove content that Moscow deems illegal. This is according to Russia's communications regulator Roskomnadzor. Roskomnadzor alleged in June that Alphabet's video platform YouTube was deliberately spreading false information about the conflict in Ukraine. It said the platform had permitted content promoting extremist views and calls for children to participate in unauthorized protests. To the natural gas to at least 20 billion cubic meters a year by 2027. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said with the new Memorandum of Understanding, the bloc was opening a new chapter in its energy cooperation with Azerbaijan, which she identified as a key partner in its efforts to move away from Russian fossil fuels. The EU is seeking an alternative supplier to Russia because of the invasion of Ukraine. The Commission said Azerbaijan was already increasing deliveries of natural gas to the EU from 8.1 billion cubic meters in 2021 to an expected 12 billion cubic meters in 2022. Away from that, experts have warned that Western France is facing a heat apocalypse as extreme temperatures continue to hit much of Europe. Temperatures could reach record levels in 15 regions of the southwest, with firefighters battling wildfires and thousands forced to evacuate. France has evacuated more than 16,000 people in Spain, Croatia, and Greece. Reports say blazes in Spain, Portugal, and Greece have forced thousands more to flee. Meanwhile, the UK has had one of its hottest days on record, with a high of 38.1 degrees Celsius recorded, and forecasters warning it will be hotter still tomorrow. A high of 38.1 degrees Celsius was recorded in Santon Downham, Suffolk today, as 37 degrees Celsius was exceeded in several places. Now in the United States, local police have confirmed that at least 4 people were killed, including the shooter, and 2 people injured in a gun attack at the Greenwood Park Mall in Indianapolis, Indiana. Indiana State Police told reporters that a mass shooter who opened fire inside the food court of the Greenwood Park Mall was taken down by someone they referred to as a Good Samaritan armed with a handgun. Police said the shooter had a rifle and several magazines and had not been identified. On Twitter, the police said there was no known ongoing threat, adding that multiple agencies were assisting with clearing the mall. In the meantime, a penalty-only trial for a young man, Nicholas Cruz, who gunned down 17 people at his former high school in Parkland, Florida, is expected to last for 4 months. After being delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic and legal wrangling, the trial is expected to expose the 7-man, 5-woman jury to horrific evidence throughout. The jurors will then decide whether 23-year-old Cruz should be sentenced to death or life without the possibility of parole. Lori Alhadeff, who wants Cruz executed for murdering her 14-year-old daughter, Alisa, said she hoped for swift action to hold him responsible. All victim parents and family members who have spoken publicly have said directly or indirectly that they want Cruz sentenced to death. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Ukem.
Agricultural market as corn extends gains on dry weather in global market. The biggest corn exporters are the United States, Argentina, Brazil, Ukraine, and France. In 2020, 5 of them generated more than 75% of overall sales. Corn futures rose to $6.15 per bushel, recovering from its 7-month low of $5.92 reached on July 5th on prospects of lower production as hot, dry weather continues to hit the key growing regions in the central US and Europe at a time when crop enters its critical pollination phase. In addition, the latest government outlook from the US pointed to warmer than usual temperatures. The United States Department of Agriculture lowered forecast for foreign corn productions amid cuts in harvested areas in Russia and smaller forecast from Italy. Meanwhile, traders also monitored the latest efforts between Russia and Ukraine to restart exports from Ukrainian ports blocked by Russia's invasion since late February. And to the energy markets. Brent crude climbs to $105 per barrel amid supply concerns. The Nigerian crude price benchmark Brent rose 4% to above $105 per bushel today, reversing losses from earlier trading sessions as investors grappled with ongoing supply tightness. Saudi ministers insisted that policy decisions would be based on market dynamics, according to the OPEC Plus meetings on August 3rd. Libya has said that all oil fields and ports are restarting and electricity output will increase after months of outages. On the demand side, gasoline and diesel sales in India's third biggest energy consumer fell in the first half of July due to seasonal rains. The UK oil benchmark also dropped more than 5% last week and has been declining since mid-June as growing recession concerns driven by aggressive rate hikes worldwide ripped through commodity markets. Traders also remain wary about wider COVID-19 lockdowns in China and Western proposals for a price cap on Russian oil. And in Nigeria, looking at Nigeria's economic index, inflation rate rises for a fifth straight month to 18.6%. Annual inflation rate in Nigeria accelerated for this said month and compared to 17.7% in May. Food inflation surged to 20.6% from 19.5%, mainly due to bread and cereals, potatoes, yam, meat, fish, oil, and fats and wine. The food and non-alcoholic beverages sub-index is by far the most important, accounting for nearly 50% of total weight. Compared to the previous month, consumer prices increased 1.82% after a 1.78% rise in May. And in Akwa Ibom Air has said that passengers will experience flight delays amid aviation fuel scarcity. It said that passengers will experience flight delays in the coming weeks due to scarcity of aviation fuel and the closure of the domestic runway at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. According to the statement released on Friday, the Akwa Ibom State-owned carrier said the delays are unavoidable and will be the next 3 months. The airline said it will try to increase flight base fare to 50,000 naira and above since February this year, with many Nigerians criticizing the move. And it's time for the Nigerian stock market report. The BS returned. At the end of today's trading day, in the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the benchmark all-share index inched up 104.82 basis points to close at 52,319.94 points. Compared with the previous trading day of Friday, July 15th, today's data shows 39% decline in volume, 16% decline in turnover, but 16% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 28.2 trillion naira. 22 losers. Saplat Petroleum Development Corporation led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 1,480.50 naira per share. And on the losing side, Nigerian Aviation Handling Corporation came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 27.71% at 6 naira per share. United Bank for Africa recorded the highest volume of 12.9 million traded shares. This is all we have for you on Business News today. Do stick with Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Still to come in the news. Lens midfielder Fofana set for Ivory Coast return. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the Nigeria Medical Association has commended Vice President STVNg for demonstrating confidence in the Nigerian healthcare system by choosing to undergo a surgical procedure in the country. It could be recalled that the Vice President had undergone a surgical procedure on his femur at the Doctors International Hospital Ikeja, Lagos. Adedoyin said the operation was successful and the Vice President will be discharged in a few days. In a press release, the NMA said the Nigerian doctor. Still in health, Borno State Ministry of Health has confirmed an outbreak of monkeypox in the state. The State Director of Public Health, Dr. Lawi Mshelia, said there were 4 suspected cases that were reported, with 3 of the cases confirmed by the National Center for Disease Control after samples sent to the center were returned positive. Mshelia further noted that 2 of the cases were reported from the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, where they are currently receiving treatment, while the other patient was reported from Biu in southern Borno. The director also stated that 1 of the patients was discharged from the hospital about a week ago. In the meantime, residents and the indigents of the state have been encouraged. Now in sports, Lens midfielder Seko Fofana is ready to resume his international career after ending his self-imposed exile from Ivory Coast's national team. The 27-year-old, who was voted the best African player in France's top flight last season, took a break from international football in October last year. Fofana said he rejected the chance to represent the two-time African champions at this year's Africa Cup of Nations to focus on his club career. The 2-1 Nations Cup qualifying defeat by Ethiopia in November 2019 is Fofana's most recent appearance for the Elephants. The player, who was once on the books of Manchester City, has been persuaded by recently appointed Ivory Coast coach Jean-Louis Gasset to return. Fofana said he had a good discussion with the coach and looked forward to playing for his country in 2024. The 37-year-old is into the final year of his current deal with the Red Devils and is pushing for a move to a club playing in the Champions League next season. However, it has now emerged that United have the option of extending his deal by another year. This was confirmed by manager Erik ten Hag today during a press conference. In another development, the 2021-2022 Nigeria Professional Football League has ended with Rivers United crowned as champions. Rivers capped their sterling all-round season-long performance with a 1-0 victory over Gombe United to finish with 77 points and a plus 34 goal aggregate. MFM, Kano Pillars, Heartland and Katsina United went to relegation after having finished 1, 2, 3 and 4 places from behind. Dropping to the lower division of Nigeria football promised each player and official of Rivers United 1 million naira for winning the last match of the season. He noted that the money was not part of what the state government had packaged for them for winning the title for the first time in their history. Away from that, Morocco are hosting Nigeria at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium, Rabat, today at the ongoing Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The Lionesses of Atlas have been impressive so far at the tournament, proving doubters wrong after winning all 4 of their matches so far, with South Africa the other country to have achieved such a feat in this campaign. With a place at next year's Women's World Cup already guaranteed, both sides have turned attention to winning the WAFCON title, but would have to first cancel each other out. And on our entertainment news, here is Beat O'Brien.
Welcome to the Entertainment Desk. My name is Beat O'Brien. First on our bulletin this evening, Tiwa Savage bags honorary doctorate degree from University of Kent. Nigerian singer and multi-award winner Tiwa Tokpe Savage, popularly known as Tiwa Savage, has been conferred with an honorary doctorate degree at her alma mater, the University of Kent, in the United Kingdom. The University of Kent took to the popular social media platform Twitter to share a photo of the hip-hop sensation as she received the certificate at the Canterbury Cathedral on Friday. The photo was captioned, "Congratulations, Dr. Tiwa Savage. We are super proud of you to have awarded the Queen of Afrobeats at the honorary doctorate at Canterbury Cathedral this morning." The university before winning a scholarship to study professional music at the Berklee College of Music, Boston, Massachusetts, in the US. Away from that story, on a sad note, Nollywood actress Ada Ahmed dies at 48. The death of the actress was confirmed by the president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, AGN, Emeka Rollas. It was reported that she was rushed to the NNPC hospital in Warri, Delta State, where she was pronounced dead. It will recall that a few weeks ago, the actress had revealed she was going through some mental health issues, where she took to her Instagram account to complain about all her setbacks. The movie star also did lose a child, her only child, back in 2020 after a surgery gone wrong. Ame is one of the most popular actors in Nollywood with a career spanning over 2 decades. She first rose to stardom in 1996 with a hit. And lastly, from the entertainment desk this evening, voting commences for the 15th edition of the Headies Award. The Headies has announced that voting has begun for its 15th edition, with fans and stakeholders having multiple options through which they can cast their votes. The Headies has a list of categories open to the public voting this year, and voters will be able to cast their votes online and via text, as stakeholders in the diaspora would also get a chance to vote for their favorite nominees. The 2022 Headies nomination list has been regarded by several critics to be one of the most inclusive lists yet, with the categories expanded to 38, of which 28 are voting categories. The prestigious awards will be leaving the shores of Nigeria for the first time, as the 2022 edition is built to hold on the 4th of September 2022 at the Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. And that's our package from the entertainment desk. I am Beto Ryan, thanking you for watching. Now over to Xavier Roberts.
That's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News.